Welcome back, you beautiful nerds, to CypherPunk Reviews. In this video, we're going to go over our top 10 Marvel Legends of 2022. Now, a top 10 list is always subjective, and especially with Marvel Legends, everyone has different priorities and preferences with their figures. So, obviously, this list will be my opinions, and we're going to start off with the honorable mentions that were surrounding me. We're going to start off with some paint jobs that were just absolutely exquisite. We had a lot of really cool paint jobs and a lot of duds this year, along with a lot of really cool new sculpts. And I think Kamala is my number one honorable mention for those categories. All new sculpt, it looks great. You know, you can see the texture in her suit all over, and it just looks beautiful. The work really pays off. Obviously, as you can see, I had to make my own accessories. That's not necessarily why it's down here. I would have liked some, more articulation, or not articulation, but posability. Some butterfly joints, I feel, are a necessity for any figure, and that's what knocked Kamala and Mary Jane down to this list. Mary Jane is on here for another reason, but we'll get there when we get there. Ultron had a beautiful chrome paint job. I think he's great, but obviously he's got some reuse, and he's got a different head on there. I preferred the head that came with Vision on the retro card, so I threw that one on there. I love the Kirby crackle effect that you can put like in his hand or in his mouth that he came with. It's great. Next up in the honorable mentions, we have Ultron, the Baff, Infinity Ultron from What If. I think he was beautiful. I don't know, I think they did this figure really well. He scales really well next to Vision. Everything is pretty good, but when you're going to collect a Baff piece, you don't expect the legs to be shorter than the legs of the figures in the wave. I don't know, I think there were some odd choices, odd proportions. His legs are definitely like only 3/4 the size of the rest of his body. His staff took up way more than he did, and I think they knew that right out the gate, rewatching those live streams. So he was great, but not good enough to get onto the list himself. Hercules I had been asking for forever, and he looks great. Right time, right place for me to start reading his solo run, and just a great figure, but not one that's knocking anything out of the park enough to go onto a top 10. Loki, it really hurt me not to put this guy in the top 10. He is beautiful, beautiful new sculpt, paint. He's proportioned just like Robert Grant. They didn't fluff him up in any way to make him look cheesy, like a 90s Star Wars figure. He had great accessories, as you can see. Just really creative, and I would have put him on the top 10, but obviously there are some better ones. Last one for the honorable mentions. Oh my gosh, these figures are beautiful. All new sculpts for an Armored Spider-Man and a Shocker, right up my alley. I had the Armored Spider-Man issue as a kid, and I made a Shocker cosplay and finished it about 1 month before this figure came out, so it was just great timing all around. But again, I think if the Spider Armor suit wasn't based on the PS4 game and it was based on the comics, I would probably have it higher. And then the Shocker is great. If they had the wash and the lines and the yellows matched from the torso to everything else, I would probably have him on the top 10 as well. But let's get into the actual 10, shall we? Coming in at number 10, we have Kate Bishop from the Infinity Ultron Disney Plus wave. This figure is great, super articulated, pinless, double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. We've got the butterfly joints, that's what they're called, and just great updated head articulation. I think it has a spot on likeness, as much as I could ask for anyways. And even like, there's paint on the thigh straps, there's paint on every bit of texture on the costume that it needs it. It's just great. Silver around the buckles, wristbands, everything is just amazing. And then the accessories, the loose quiver and the bow that you can pull back in the hands. It's just a phenomenal release. Well deserving of the top 10. Clint would have made it, but having all of these articulation points on a female figure is just a lot less common and a lot more deserving of the spot, IMO. So, on to the next one. Coming in at number 9 is Daisy Johnson, Sky, Miss Quake herself, the agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., however you want to title her. She came in a duo pack with Maria Hill as an alternate head sculpt. You can pop the gauntlets off. It's great. Just an amazing figure with swell, pinless articulation, double jointed elbows, knees. I wish it had butterfly joints, but obviously I can't complain with this release. The head sculpt looks amazing too. I threw on the jetpack from Black Widow with the gray costume and the brown jacket. She came with it. I think it works phenomenally here. Yeah, just an amazing release. But since this one had so much bonus packed in, as well as some added sculpt for the zipper and really intricate deco to match the alternate I'm about to bring up, this is why Spinneret was kicked to the honorable mentions, because they're on the same sculpt. And I think this one just had a bit more bang for the buck. Coming in at number 8 is the Marvel Legends Iron Spider from the 60th Beyond line. Obviously, we had a ton of Spider-Man related releases for the 60-year anniversary. This one I wasn't planning on picking up. I told myself I didn't need it. I didn't need it. Went on sale. I picked it up. Did not regret it whatsoever. It's fully pinless, as articulated as you could want. It's got everything and just beautifully done. The legs on the back are great. I've had it in some amazing shots. Every review I've watched said they couldn't get him in the classic poses, but it's always just a matter of time. You can't get him in the poses for like a shelf sitting, you know? He's not gonna stay there forever, but yeah, for photography, for videos, it's just fine. This guy is definitely well-deserved in a top spot here. Coming in at number 7, we have the sensational She-Hulk from the Infinity Ultron Disney Plus wave as well. She knocked it out of the park for my expectations. I think the likeness is spot on. All of the articulation is about where I want it, except I do wish it had butterfly joints. Maybe a bit more in the head department, obviously, as the hair is really restricting, but there's not much you can do to get around that unless you're going to do an in-action pose sculpt, which, I don't know, those don't really turn out the best. She came with a pair of fist hands and a pair of the, slash clap hands. I've been able to do just about every pose I've wanted to do for photography for this figure, and I just love it. Coming in at number 6, we have the Star-Spangled Man with a Plan, the retro-esque anniversary release for the Toy Biz Marvel Legends Wave 1. Obviously, this is Captain America. I think they knocked this figure out of the frickin' park. This probably would have been higher on my list if his eyes weren't on wall-eyed, you know? But other than that, they did everything I could have asked, from wash to weathering to these fancy cuff boots. I know a lot of this was reuse, but I didn't get the anniversary Cap, Iron Man, or Thor when they came out, unfortunately, so I will take this. I think the accessories on the shield are really cool. I think they could have put in another shield easily, but c'est la vie. I think this guy did everything I needed him to do, came with a bunch of accessories, and looked good doing it. Now that we've made it halfway through our list, I figured I would dress the occasion and put on some formal wear. Also, I thought if I was wearing leather, he might eat me. Coming in at number 5, we have the Lizard. Seriously though, this guy is incredible, down to every detail. He has a bendy wire, he has swappable hands, he has amazing articulation and sculpt everywhere. I mean, look at the tattered legs, to the scales on every surface on his feet, his hands, his wrists, the tattered lab coat, everything, the tail especially, and the 2 heads. Come on, absolutely phenomenal. It has a hinge on the neck at 2 points so you can turn the neck, as well as the head articulation. Has 2 beakers, absolutely phenomenal release. Honestly, probably should have put him higher, but he's the lizard. I love him, but he's not going to be this flagship character like one of our primary heroes. Fascinating, isn't it? Coming in at number 4 is Beast. This retro card was everything I wanted. Soft Goods lab coat was incredible. The glasses, the hands, articulation, all knocked out of the park. Obviously, he came with a set of beakers as well. His had a printed little X gene on the bottle, or not bottle, the Erlenmeyer flask. Or is that the round one? I don't really care. I do care about this figure though. Definitely worthwhile. If you did not pick him up, definitely do so before he climbs, because this guy, if he's anything like the last one, he'll be sought after. And coming in at number 3 is the first appearance Spider-Man. This guy was just a beautiful release. I wish I could have put him higher, honestly, but you know, with how little came in the package, he came with 2 sets of web wings that are very specific to pose. I feel like, again, I know how to work them a bit better than most people imply to with their complaints. I haven't found it as hard, but it is undeniable that it limits what you can pose him in, and I feel like there could have been some softer alternatives. Maybe not Soft Goods level like Toy Biz, but like, I don't know, wings that weren't so hard that if you put them in the wrong spot, as you can see, it starts pushing them out of the peg. So I think there were some improvements to be made, but overall, this is probably my favorite body mold that Marvel Legends has done, period. So definitely top 3 material, and I think those lenses really nail the Ditko feel. Came with all of the hands I wanted it to. I think all of the paint apps are exquisite. Everything just looks nice and clean and exactly how I could have wanted it to be. These top 2 are very near and dear to my heart. I think it was no contest that these 2 would be in the top 3 in my head, but which one would be which, I have honestly debated back and forth up until recording this. So coming in at number 2 is the ever so magical, the ever so mystical Doctor Strange. He was a Walmart exclusive. Woo! Oh. Yeah, that's about how Walmart exclusives feel. By the hoary ghosts of Hasbro. Pulse Selfie Series, I reconnect your head. I kind of expected you to sound more like Benedict Cumberbatch. Here at number 2 is the master of the mystic arts, Doctor Strange, as you've noticed. He was an exclusive online. I was so impatient to find him anywhere that I had to order through a international site and paid probably double, and then he came out a couple months later, but I was so happy to have him in hand early. I couldn't even complain. This figure knocks it out of the park, from the black dots on the yellow gloves to the sculpt work to the articulation, the gold paint on the eye. Everything is just stellar. The 3 heads, the axe of Agnarumus, it's just incredible. I could not complain. There were so many things packed in there, and you know, I think the only thing I'd change on this guy is a freer cape, but those are more import quality range of accessories, you know, especially since with the sculpted feature here, it looks exactly like I'd want it to. I can't complain. I'm just a playing with my figures type of guy. As I said, picking between 1 and 2 was a really difficult task, but when I realized, looking backwards, what started me in Marvel Comics, it was a pretty easy pick. With Marvel Zombies, I loved it. The show didn't take straight from it, but obviously this figure took straight from my nightmares. Every bit of sculpt, paint, articulation, everything is all I could have asked for and more. It is an absolutely phenomenal figure, and well worth the number 1 spot. Every bit of torn and tattered fabric, the flesh poking through, the bones poking through, it honestly boggles me how they painted some of the parts of this. It is just a wonderful figure. a lot of figures I find myself having to customize and paint bits of. This is the opposite. They did everything I wanted. Obviously, it's not on them, it's on the show that I wish they had realistic skin color, so this would be like an actual Marvel zombie. That would be sick, but obviously we cut our losses. This is a phenomenal figure, design picks aside. Well, everyone, thank you once again for joining me on my escapades, this time ranking the top 10 Marvel Legends of 2022. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to check out my channel. I also have the top 10 action figures of 2022 because Marvel Legends was just taking up way too much of that list. So we'll get into that one in the next one, and I hope to see you guys there. Thank you. Bye.